morning, I am here ready for my hike today, which is along the Longdendale Trail. It's in the upper Longdendale Valley here in the Peak District, and it starts in Hadfield, which is in Derbyshire, which is the dark peak, and runs all the way along to the Woodhead Tunnels. It runs for 6.5 miles, which is 10.4 kilometres, and it runs along what used to be the old Manchester to Sheffield railway. So let's get started. This has got to be my favourite part on the start of the trail, because as you're walking along, all of a sudden it starts opening out and you get views of all the reservoirs, and it is absolutely beautiful, especially when it's sunny like this on a morning. But Longdendale, it's a V-shaped valley, glacial in origin, and it has 5 reservoirs along it and surrounded by all these high moorlands either side of it. The path itself is suitable for anybody with young children, so families with young children, those less agile, wheelchairs, prams, because it's all flat. It's kind of like a sandy, muddy, slightly rocky trail, but completely fine for those that aren't able to climb or go over rocks or steps or everything, because it is completely flat. And it's such a beautiful trail. I have seen so many different things along here. I've been along here many times. So down on the reservoirs you've got all different kinds of bird life. So I've seen grey herons, waders, I've seen Canada geese. Up here on the trail itself I've seen barn owls, badger, stoats, lots of rabbits, deer. You just never know what you're going to get when you come out on here. But this morning it is so cold. It is, I think it's 0 degree when I left. As you can see, the ice is still on all the grass, so you've got everything all frosted still. But it's planned to be sunny all day long today, and it's even going to get as high as 8 degrees Celsius. So I thought, right, perfect day for a walk. These reservoirs were completed in 1877, and they were the largest artificial expanses of water ever built at the time. Now there are 5 reservoirs here in total, and I'm stood currently alongside Bottoms Reservoir, which is the first one you come to along the trail. Now the catchment area here is 30 square miles, and the annual rainfall is 1,330 millimetres, which is why these were built here. They were used to provide water for cotton and paper mills, but now these reservoirs provide 1/4 of the water for Greater Manchester. I am now at the road crossing where the Pennine Way crosses the Longdendale Trail, as you can see here. And I've walked along here a number of times because I've done the Crowden to Edale parts of the Pennine Way quite a lot. It's a lovely little place, lovely hike up in them hills, but we're staying on the flat today after we've crossed this road. So it's the only road that you have to cross on the whole of the Longdendale Trail. So it is safe apart from this road, which cars can come round quite fastly, and cyclists as well, so keep an eye out for that. Morning! I am now stood near the Torside Reservoir, and how beautiful and blue it looks today. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I've realised I've not been telling you too much about the history of all these reservoirs. So the upper ones, sorry, getting distracted by a little coal tip. The upper ones were there to provide drinking water. And the two lower ones, which were Bottoms Reservoir and Valehouse Reservoir, were there to regulate the downstream flow of water for the benefit of the local water mills. Now the bottom one used to have to provide 10 million gallons of water every single day. So to make sure that this happened, they had to build a gauging basin, which was about 40 feet in diameter. If I can find a picture that I've taken of it, I will put it on the screen somewhere for you. But yeah, the Valehouse Reservoir is fascinating because there's an actual village under it. Well, you can't see it anymore, but there is a village underneath it. What happened was a mill was built there in 1775 called Valehouse Mill. And then the village grew. There was about 600 houses and about 100 cottages, a school which housed probably 25 to 30 scholars, a gasworks. But unfortunately, it all got flooded in 1869. The reservoirs were then built. However, one thing that was left standing, which you could see through the water, coming out through the water, was the chimney of Valehouse Mill. And it was fascinating because the story goes, they used to call it the Whispering Chimney because whenever it was very windy, it made all these really ghostly sounds. However, the railway was built here on this track. And what used to happen was the passengers used to marvel at this chimney coming out the water. So they'd all go to one side of the carriage, causing the train carriage to tip. So it was deemed no longer safe to have this chimney in the water because people would all look at it. Sorry, I'm just avoiding puddles. So the railway company demanded that it was demolished. So it got demolished in 1887, which I think is a bit of a shame. But my goodness, it's beautiful. I'm going to turn the camera around now and show you some more of the views. The sun's behind the mountains, so what I will be doing is coming back the same way today, probably. So I'll show you it with a different aspect of light as well. Woodhead Reservoir, which is the final reservoir on this section of the Longdendale Trail. And I'm also at the point where Crowden Station used to be. Now, there was not a station here, but in 1857 plans were drawn up to build one. A local mill owner wanted this station so badly that he donated £50 towards it. But by 1860, still no station had been built because they'd abandoned the plans to build it, because I think it was something in the region of £400 the total cost, and they said that they just couldn't afford it. But he never got his money back, so he complained in 1860 about not getting his £50 back, and then they decided to build the station after all, so it was opened in 1861. Behind me you can see the last remaining historical construction of this railway here at Crowden, and they are the railway cottages that used to house the station master and also the signal box staff. The Woodhead Line used to go between Manchester, Sheffield and Penistone, and between Manchester and Sheffield the route was about 41.5 miles long. 1,500 navvies worked on this line, and the conditions were that poor that the death rate was higher than those of the soldiers that fought at the Battle of Waterloo. Now, it was opened in 1845 by the Manchester, Ashton-under-Lyne and Sheffield Railways, and the engineer was Joseph Locke. The main part of the line was to transport coal, so that was the majority of what it held, over to the west, and then the empties would go back through the hills towards the east. And yes, I did say through the hills. We are now going to be coming up towards the famous Woodhead Tunnels. I am just coming up to the tunnels now, and there's a couple of people I've seen go up there, so I'll tell you a little bit about them now and then more maybe later. But there are 3 parallel trans-Pennine tunnels, each 3 miles long, which is 4.8 kilometres, that go under the high moorlands of the Northern Peak District. This portal here, which is the western one, is at somewhere called Woodhead, which is in Derbyshire, and the eastern portal is over in South Yorkshire, somewhere called Dunford Bridge, which is near Penistone. The first tunnel was opened in 1845, and that at the time was one of the longest tunnels in the world. And the second tunnel was built in 1853. There was so much heavy traffic here, and the narrowness of the tunnels made it very difficult for them to maintain it. There was about 250 trains that went past each day, and it just became really difficult for them to not only maintain but also keep up with demand. So they decided in 1936 to start drawing up plans to build a third tunnel, but not just because of the maintenance, but because they wanted to introduce electricity. Now, the third one was originally planned on being built earlier, but because of World War II, it wasn't built until afterwards. And then they were able to build it with electrification. I made it to the end of the trail, and I'm here at the tunnels now behind me. So you've got tunnel number 3 there, tunnel number 2 and tunnel number 1, and these are all closed. The final tunnel was actually closed in 1981. So it's been closed a number of years now, but it's kind of cool being here. I like it. I've walked here a number of times before, and when I first started getting into my walking when I lived in this area, this was one of my destinations that I'd kind of build up to, because all in all it's a 13-mile walk from home to here and back again, but it's all nice and flat, so it's a great training ground for me when I first started doing my hiking. And it had no hills, it was lovely. But the weather has certainly turned a little bit now and it's got rather cold, so I'm going to sit down and have some lunch somewhere. But this is the old platform here, and I was going to sit on here, and it's quite nice and quiet today, but the wind is just coming through, and I think further down there's a nicer way to sit out of the wind, so I'm going to find somewhere a bit nicer. I have found the most perfect place to sit and have my lunch on this walk, and that's on the old railway platform. It's so sad thinking about all the people that used to go through here and how busy it used to be and how it's just no more, it's just now a walking trail. So in one aspect it's good because it's allowed somewhere for us all to come out and walk. And something I found utterly fascinating whilst doing this hike today is how many people I have come across telling me about the history of the place, and I've lived here a number of years because it's local to me, and the knowledge that people have imparted on me today, from histories, from people's fathers that worked on the line to people that have seen all the changes that have happened. It's taken me a lot longer to walk than I planned, but that's just purely by talking to so many locals. It has been utterly fascinating. So I'm going to sit and enjoy my sandwich, which is a chickpea salad sandwich, and just reminisce about how life used to be on the railways.
I met an old man. I said, tell me your story. He took out a notepad and wrote something for me. He kept walking on down the road, and I watched him disappear like smoke. And I thought I'd just seen a ghost. Then I looked down at what he wrote. It said, son, when you grow up you'll be fine.
Tunnels number 1 and 2 that you can see over here are the Victorian tunnels that were damaged by so many years of smoke from all the steam engines. So this one was built, which is tunnel number 3. And this was finished off with overhead cables going along the entire tunnel, providing 1,500 volts of electricity, because it was now electrified. And because of that, they also needed new locomotives that ran on electricity. These were built in Gorton in Manchester. Despite additional investment in the 1950s, they closed this third and final tunnel for passenger traffic in 1970. Now, there was talks of closing a different line nearby, which is called the Hope Valley Line, but they deemed that that was needed more than this one. So it did get closed for passengers in 1970, but did still continue to run. However, the need for coal declined in the area from the Pennines. There were alternative routes available, and the cost of maintaining, upkeeping and doing all the repairs on this tunnel just became far too much. So it closed, and the final train went through on the 18th of July in 1981. All the tracks were then lifted and the whole tunnel was mothballed.
Life is gonna happen one way or the other, whether you like it or not. Stop looking for the answers and you'll find what you've got.
There is a lot to love about walking along this trail, but the two things I don't love so much: all the pylons, they're all along the trail for the electricity, as well as the wind when you turn around and go that way. So once you've got to the tunnels and turn around, the wind is always coming towards you, so just be aware of that. Perfect when I'm out running, because then on the way back when I'm hotter than I was to start with, then I get to cool down, but no, not so much when it's a cold day, because it just blasts you in the face. I've found something new on the trail. Now this is going to give the Woodhead Tunnels a run for its money. I've got its own little miniature tunnel. I mean, obviously this is for drainage, but it could be like a little tunnel for creatures. I love this section of the trail near Torside because it's where the Pennine Way crosses, and you can see, I can show you, it kind of zigzags up here a little bit all the way to the top ridge, and then literally just follows all along the top there and then through the valley bit there, right in the middle. And it's quite a sharp, steep climb up, but blimey, you're rewarded with great views very quickly once you get up there. And then once you've got up to that top bit, it's just very remote, and that's as if you're heading towards Edale. But oh, I love that part of the trail. It's a tough bit, but it is good. And then in this direction, it continues on to Crowden, and I think there's some kind of camping or youth hostel there, but I've never ventured on that trail that way, so it's definitely something I want to do one day. I've done day one, and I will put a link up here for you so you can see the little hike I did. It was when I was training for the PCT, but yeah, it's a beautiful trail. I am nearing the end of my Longdendale Trail walk now, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to say goodbye. It has been a wonderful day. The weather keeps changing. It's gone from sunny to cloudy and cold, back to sunny again a few times, but I hope you've enjoyed this walk with me today. The total mileage was 13 miles, so 6.5 there, 6.5 back. But if you don't want to do a straight linear walk, you can always drop down, walk near the reservoir on the way back and make it a bit of a circular, or even a little bit longer, and you can walk to the other sides of the reservoirs and walk along the other end. So it can be done in many different ways, and you can just shorten it, walk round. There's a couple of car parks around here, so I'll be sure to link the trail details down below for you. But I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you all again next time. Goodbye!